Long-term viewers of High Plane Games will know I love a racing game, and I'll pick out and try most of the weird and wonderful ones, and this is one of them. Go-Kart Island is an open-world kart racer for single-player experiences only. There is no local or online multiplayer here. And you play as a cow that is trying to raise funds to take part in the mayor-sanctioned Go-Kart Island Grand Prix. But it takes a lot of money to get there, and that's how you'll be raising your money, is going around doing various different events. There are 34 different types of events going on, and they range from circuit racing to point-to-point racing to death races, where you're given a certain amount of hearts, and because this is a traditional kart racer, everyone's got weapons, so you might end up losing some hearts and needing to go off the track to recover them again, otherwise it's game over. There are chases, there are pursuits, there are kind of stay hiding in the background but don't stay too far out of reach sneakathon missions. There are also some very specific ones, like a taxi chasing one, for example, as well. These are all dotted out around the Go-Kart Island, and so you'll need to drive from location to location to then trigger the events. As you drive around the island, though, there are 150 collectibles to find, and these range from coins to gems to smashable billboards a la Burnout Paradise, but they're mayor boards instead, because I think you're just angry at the fact that he's going to make you pay all of this money to go racing. How very FIA of them, I think is all I'll say. But what I really liked about Go-Kart Island is how accessible and approachable the handling model is. When you drive around, you don't get up to very much top speed, but your kart is quite grippy. But the crucial thing for me, and this is a very niche thing to talk about, but when you press and hold the drift button, you do a little hop and then go into a drift around. But the rate of the drift is exactly perfect to the width of the track. And because almost all of the corners are 90 or 180 degrees bends or horseshoes, you've got the perfect drift around all of these 180 degree bends, and it is so satisfying to not have to kind of accidentally scrape onto the grass or hit a barrier or a wall. You've got plenty of room to just look competent and skillful, and it translates really well to an accessible and enjoyable karting experience. It reminds me of retro Mario Kart games, and also, I don't know if people remember Bears Can't Drift from the PS4 style era. There is lots of issues with that game, but the karting physics were great. So it kind of reminds me of the same type of game. The issue, I think, with Go-Kart Island is that all of this can be completed in a couple of hours, and every time you complete a event, you unlock a character, and there's 32 different characters in this game that you can unlock. They all handle the same, but it's just for visual appeal. And then you also unlock what you've just completed as a challenge that can be completed outside of moving around the open world Go-Kart Island. This then means that you can go for gold, silver or bronze trophies, and you can do that either from a top-down chase perspective camera angle, or you can flip to proper retro isometric driving towards and against the camera from a perspective camera perspective, as it calls it. That was a terrible sentence, but I'm going with it. But whichever one works best for you, it's about making sure that you drive cleanly, make sure you avoid all of the different event-specific junk that gets in the way, because one of the weird things about the design of this game is that whilst it's open world for driving around from event to event, it then locks you down into very specific routes when you're doing, say, a point-to-point race across the island. And the reason why it does that is because it then puts in laser beams or rolling pizzas or weird donuts that fly out of the manhole covers. It makes no sense, but hey, we're going with it. And it's all timed in a very specific way to try and make it feel a bit stunty-like. But then that kind of goes against its open world nature. And so I feel quite conflicted as to whether this is a good or a slightly limiting design choice for me. That said, the biggest limiting choice is no local multiplayer. For the life of me, I don't understand why it isn't here. This game is ripe for it, but this is a single player experience, and as a result, its longevity is going to be several hours. You're not going to be 20 hours in kind of hardcore going repeat, repeat, repeat. It's priced appropriately for that, but you just need to know going in that this is definitely a game that is a few hours, and then after say 3 to 4 hours you'll have seen absolutely everything and done it twice. So just bear that in mind going in. But if you're looking for a satisfying, almost my first kart racer style game, then Go-Kart Island actually I think is a really good proposition for people to get into kiddie kart racing.